of course, both teams fairly strong team fighting comps, so it basically is coming down to whichever team manages to get the good engage or fights better. But we do have this dragon coming up, could be a point of contention in the near future.
Yeah, the Skull Crab has also been taken by Bench Reborn. They are aware of that. They want that increased movement speed, sort of vision control around the dragon, since it is up. Whichever team does get this dragon will get their third stack of the game, and that's where you and I and Vizzy have always talked about it as the best stack that dragon can offer. Now, Marco Dula has led the charge. He gets charmed up, takes it out dangerously low as well. He's always the first one to fall. Retribution using Cataclysm to zone out the rest of Bench Reborn. He will fall down, so will Legit. That's going to be a 3-for-none exchange in favor of Bench Reborn. The chases onto Safari, and he's able to get away though. And Bench Reborn steamrolling in this fight. They're coming ahead winning every single team fight ever since they lost Inhibitor.
Yeah, and Cedric, with a very nice play there, managed to use that Glacial Path to get into the back line of Zero Gravity Gaming and just wreaked havoc there. So much damage from that Lissandra. He's sitting on 3.5 items, so he's hurting quite a lot right now. And a good play there. They split up, Bench Reborn, sending a few members back, a few members to take the dragon, and managed to keep up their one remaining Nexus turret as well as get themselves their third dragon stack of the game.
Yeah, that absolutely. We're seeing a double locket coming out from the likes of Zero Gravity Gaming. One is on text, the second one being built up by Retribution. I like the double locket build. It provides those who are building it even more resistances and magic resistance, and they do need it. The triple magic damage, or just simply the double AP comp, that is quite popular in the OCE meta. If anything, Rumble and Lissandra just do so much damage. Tex is always falling instantly. He's barely able to survive halfway through the fight to able to peel for his ADC or get the death sentence he's needing. And Retribution is doing well. He's zoning out the right targets, but even then he's still falling and no one's able to follow him up. Paper Max, who's best comboed with Jarvan, the Cataclysm and the Nara ultimate, just synergize so amazingly. They aren't able to get that working now, and it's quite unfortunate for Zero Gravity Gaming.
Yeah, you mentioned the double locket, and I must admit I'm usually a fan of that build, but I feel like here Retribution really needs to be going for a more selfish build. We've seen he's basically been diving, being the front line for his team. It's basically he and Michael the Dugong are just trying to dive into each other's teams and be as much of a nuisance as they can, and Michael the Dugong is just able to survive a lot better in doing that, just because he is Rammus and has a lot more defensive items. So I feel as though, you know, the locket is a good pick, but I feel with what Retribution's been trying to do in these fights, would do that more effectively if he had chosen a more selfish item like a Banshee's Veil, just to have those extra stats to be able to tank that little bit of extra damage.
Yeah, absolutely. He has got himself a longsword, which most likely might result into another physical item damage, maybe a Last Whisper or something along those lines. And maybe he's got enough magic, he feels he's got enough resistances to tank enough damage for him to dish out the right amount of damage to take out the targets like 2 Chains on the Lucian, and he's not doing quite like 2 Chains on Lucian in comparison to the previous game. He hasn't had that big of a what is the word I'm looking for? Presence, sorry, in team fights in comparison to Corki. Now Mogadon, who's in behind, Siege's going deep in. He does use the ultimate onto Tex. Equalizer has missed as well, but a very good Cataclysm coming in from Retribution. Did lock 3. Is now Paper Max and Safarian diving quite deep. Retribution gets locked up. Mogadon knocked up as well. They're trying their best to take out the tanks. That is no one falling from Bench Reborn. They're all so low. They're all blinking red, the frontliners. And Legit, who's still fully healthy, him and Paper Max, they're going to take this inhibitor. So good try coming from Zero Gravity. It will take one person from Bench Reborn, that's Vexatious, but also take the inhibitor. Then Marco Dugon charging in yet again. This is what he's been doing all game. He'll just spawn and charge in, re-avenging his teammates if need be. And a 3-for-1 exchange, but losing the inhibitor.
Yeah, so a good inhibitor take there. legit really being the shining star for his team in these fights. He's just been dealing so much damage when he's not caught. I feel like so Cedra actually altered text in that fight, and I really feel like that was a bit of a mistake. Sure, that Thresh, it's good to get him off the table so that he can't heal for his carries, but when you're wasting your big abilities on text, you're not having them available to use on Legit or Sylpharion, and those really are the two targets that need to have those big crowd controls used on them to pop them where they stand to make sure that they go down.
Yeah, absolutely. Able to get those right targets. Legit, very much aware of what Cedra as well as Rammus are able to do, is always coming into the fights a little bit late, just so those big, the taunts, the frozen tombs are on cooldown, allowing him to generate a lot of damage coming out. He has hit full build though, gone for the Banshee's Veil as his defensive item. Pretty good one. I mean, if you're seeing... If you're seeing something like a Syndra just running into your face and crying for mommy, the Banshee's Veil will be your saving grace there. I personally still feel the Makar's Crucible could have been a better item, though, in this little matchup. But which one do you reckon?
For text, no, I think text's build is fine. The Banshee's Veil is going to be enough of a deterrent for Cedra. And a little bit of a skirmish coming out, and it's going to blow up into a full-blown fight as well.
Yeah, they're constantly targeting onto Tex. He falls down yet again. He's just been dying. 113, 17 is that Thresh. He's just not having his day today. A bit of a bad performance on the ADC. Not that great on the support either. It's just not his day today, unfortunately. And now we see Bench Reborn sending the sides up for the Baron. Retribution is up, guys, so he is 2 levels behind. It is a risky Baron. Marco Dugong has the level advantage for the Smite though. So his Smite is a lot stronger, doing 1,000 damage in comparison to Retributions. They are trying their best to bring that Baron down to 1,800. He will fall down, giving the red team Bench Reborn the Baron. Now Sylpharion will fall down as Paper Maxis gets locked up. A very well placed equalizer does manage to secure a double kill. Legit is now the next target. So is Retribution. Retribution said, I will die for you. Take me instead, but they don't care. Michael doesn't care. He picks up onto Legit. That's an ace coming up from Bench Reborn.
5-0. Well, text just came up now, but yeah, so very well played there from Bench Reborn. I feel like Zero Gravity Gaming, they were just far too hesitant there. They had a potential 4v5 fight with Bench Reborn all taking Baron damage. And honestly, Baron is basically worth at least an extra member of your team. So if they'd just taken the initiative and all piled in to take that fight, then they might have had a chance. But unfortunately, they waited too long. And as soon as that Baron went down, Bench Reborn with a very decisive call to turn immediately. Cedra immediately blew up Sylpharion in a very nice combo there. And they won the game off that place. So very, very well played to Bench Reborn. Well-deserved 2-0 win.
Yeah, absolutely. Very convincing game 1. A much more closer, tight-knit game 2, where Zero Gravity Gaming did at one point have a lead, and it looked as though they were able to... Most likely it looked like it was their game, to be honest.
Yeah.
And that... I don't know if you could say Michael... He was a wild card, and I'm not gonna just constantly keep highlighting him as like the MVP of the game, but he was very interesting. He would die first, and then the enemy Zero Gravity Game would be like, alright guys, we killed off their team, let's take objectives, they'll take their towers, they'll take an inhibitor, and all of a sudden, guess who's there to just take off 3 of them? It'll be Michael again. He was very much a wild card. He would die, and then avenge his death and his team's death as well. It was quite humorous to see, and Bench Reborn definitely worth proving that they are a threat for this tournament. Haven't lost a single round yet this whole, like all 5 rounds. So they're 5-0 on top of the leaderboard. I believe a similar team along the likes of, I think, Alter Ego and Lucky Sexy, also teams that haven't dropped a single round. So a lot of these top teams are starting to show their dominance in the early rounds. But like you said, right now they could be good, but who knows in 10 or so rounds if they are able to keep up the dominant streak.
Yeah, so challenges have been approaching from all over the ladder, and we've seen some really close matches. Of course, Bench Reborn were definitely tested by Zero Gravity, especially in that second game today. So, who knows if they, there's sure to be some other teams out there to give them a run for their money. And these teams at the top of the leaderboard are definitely not safe in their positions. So, they're going to have to keep practicing and keep coming up with some new innovative strats that we all like to see.
Yeah, absolutely. Like the Sejuani and the Ramos pick, as well as Lissandra in a mid lane. I've known Lissandra as a top laner. As a mid laner, maybe not as much, but I did quite enjoy it all the same. Now, guys, thank you for joining us for the Arclight Gaming Round 5. This was an incredible best of 3 Bench Reborn, definitely taking 2-0 in this best of 3 series, so they're going to secure themselves 3 points. Again, for those who are unsure of how this system works, every time you win a best of 3, you get 3 points, the loser gets 0, and at the end of the 21 rounds, the top 8 teams with the most points will secure a spot in the tournament where they can win prizes like Riot Points, a skin, as well as a small prize pool that Arclight Gaming will be issuing to the winning team. Invisi, man, I am so glad to have you with me tonight. It was incredible to have you, and I was so pumped. Man, thank you.
Yeah, it was some good games, and I'm glad I got to cast them with you, Mr. Jester.
Yeah, absolutely, guys. I am Mr. Jester, and tune in on Wednesday at 6:30 PM Australian Eastern Daylight Savings Time, where we'll have another game for you for Round 6 as the featured matchup. Again, I'm Mr. Jester signing off, and Invisi, man, thank you again.
Yeah, good night, everyone.
Good night.